What's up guys? Today's video we are going to be going over the mods that I did to the Avengers Helicarrier. Now before anybody comments, because I know this set got a lot of flack when it was first shown, like first set pictures came out. Yeah, the default set by itself is horrendous. It's a big waste of space. They don't utilize what they have well. So I decided to unleash the potential and turn it into what I would believe to be a kind of true helicarrier. And I also tried to make it a bit more accurate to the video game look, but not too much. So of course with all our views we're going to start up here at the front and then move our way all the way to the back. But first we're going to go over the little dinky Quinjet that comes with the set. So the little dinky Quinjet, I did end up modifying it solely because to modify this, I ended up taking a few sloping pieces from this little dinky Quinjet, tossing it on there, but I didn't really want to take this apart because I kind of like it even though I don't know what role it serves. So I took some pieces from the Avengers Endgame Quinjet and remodded this, and it looks a bit better than it did in the original set. The color scheme is now primarily blue. Before this, it had a decent amount of light gray. Now that's a bit more dodged, and it looks like a true Avengers vehicle. So guys, I would like to note, this is not an alternate build, it is just a heavy mod. Essentially, I tore apart my Endgame Quinjet, and then I used those pieces to turn this into the helicarrier that I thought of in my head. So I built it up, completely regular, original, and I very quickly tore off the turret in the center, and I tore out the stupid prison cell in the back, and I decided that prison cell would be the space for some new interior. Now, if you take out the play feature that makes all the rotors spin, you will have more interior space here, but that's not a mod I've gone into yet, because I don't want to tear this apart too bad. So this has been like a 4-week venture, ever since, or actually a few month venture at this point. Ever since I got the set, every week pretty much I end up adding a few new things, but I'm happy to say that right here I would believe to be my rough final draft. So like I said before, we're going to start up at the front, move our way to the back, and I'm going to apologize now. This set is pretty huge for my small setup that I have here, so I may end up dinking the camera, dinking the box in the back. But starting up at the front, I added more slope bricks to add some more plating, add some more armor, plenty of tiles to just color it up more so. On the original set, it's very bland and very boring up here. So I moved the guardrails that the set comes with, moved them around, and then this little bit here, it's originally just the handle to get into the interior. But accidentally, I just added these bricks up here for some extra detail to use on the small clips they have in there. And it ended up kind of looking like a bird. And S.H.I.E.L.D.'s logo is often depicted with a bird, so it kind of works out. Even though this isn't a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier and it is an Avengers helicarrier, I still kind of like it. I mean, Nick Fury's there, so it may as well be a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. But I did add the little details up here. I kind of used these to create some sort of guardrail. And as you can see, they're both at kind of a weird angle. So I wouldn't know if this is an illegal Lego building technique since this does sit one stud above the jumper. It's not actually bending anything improperly. So I don't know if that's an illegal technique or just a regular old technique. But I just used it as small little guardrails. Added more sloping just to make this whole top half look a bit more finished. And these wings coming out on the front are meant to emulate what it looks like in the video game. The video game helicarrier does have wings coming off the front. So now we'll get a look at the cockpit. Originally, the sticker piece is actually on the bottom, but the orientation of the cockpit suggests that this vehicle would be flying above its target, so it would make no sense to have your controls down below. Now, you can kind of see that this is a targeting HUD, which it would make sense for that to be down below where you're targeting, well, your target. But I just kind of wanted to have it up there, so this is a clearer view. And then as you can see in there, I have done a little bit of modification. I added a dashboard for our pilot, so we're going to get in there and check out what we got going on. So the front windshield does come off all in one assembly, just with 2 clips like it does in the original set. But to really get in there, we're going to have to open up the top and take out all the minifigures. So sitting in here, we got War Machine Rhodey, we got Iron Man, and we have Nick Fury that I was talking about, and I added on an extra little apparatus that was an extra piece with the set. So by default on this set, the front interior isn't the best to access, so I don't know how bright I can make it in there, but we'll give it our best shot. So like I mentioned earlier, we'll flip it around, and I did add a little dashboard for Rhodey to use up there, so he looks like he actually has something to pilot the helicarrier rather than just having his hands grab onto nothing. So I don't know how well we can see it, but I did add some black slope bricks in there alongside the seats, so it's kind of like some armrests, so that the cockpit really feels official, like these are real workstations for them to be sitting at while they're piloting the helicarrier. Then going on to the center, originally this had a big turret sitting on it, and I couldn't figure out what to replace that with, and I didn't want it to just be open deck space. So I turned it into what kind of looks like damage, like if a high power missile or like a grenade or just some heavy round hit the ship and then now it's got a big gouge in it revealing some internals. That's kind of what it's meant to look like, just look like it has some battle damage on it. And overall, I think I did pretty good. I'm actually really proud of that little bit there. On the sides, of course, we do have the rotors. I plated these up a little more to make them look a bit more armored, and I do apologize, it is a bit dusty. I tried to get as much off as I could. But yeah, the rotors are a bit more plated up, just looks a tiny bit better, not too much different from the default set. So normally on the set, you would be able to see all the Technic structure with all the yellow and the red, but I ended up adding some plates and tiles so you couldn't see all those disgusting colors through the top. On the sides of the rotors, nothing's changed pretty much from the default set. I did take off those little winglets because those were just annoying pieces and they would constantly break off. So moving down the side here, in my head, I think a helicarrier should have great broadside capability, and it only coming with one cannon by default wasn't suitable for me. So I ended up adding another one on there, so if it does get a target on its side, it can absolutely blast it rather than just one gun pointing at it over and over. And then here is where we get into the real meat and potatoes of this mod. There was an old jail cell for the big old MODOK Big Fig, and it was cool, like it functioned as a jail cell, but it was absolutely horrendous to look at. It did not look good, and I knew that that was plenty of interior space. As soon as I saw it, I knew what I wanted. I had what I wanted in my head. I wanted a pilot seat to be elevated, and then 2 seats behind it to be lower than it, all kind of control stations, and it's exactly what I got. First, we'll go over the extra armory and stuff I've done on the outside, and then we can get to the little interior I just described. So yes, you can see the guns there that I added on, and then I smoothed it out with a whole bunch of plates here. I think these are on the set by regular. But here you can start seeing all the pieces that I used from the Avengers Endgame Quinjet. You can see all these extra slow bricks. Even added on an extra door back here with some good details. This like kind of handle thing to me kind of resembles a lock, similar to my TIE Fighter video that you guys are going to see sometime in the future. Some kind of little lock that comes down and then the door can come down. Don't want to give you too much interior just yet though. But yes, more plating. The roof here and the visor all come from the Avengers Endgame Quinjet. This piece is by default on the set. The rest, however, has been added. And overall, I think I did pretty good. This radar dish does have some posability. And I added these tan bricks on the back. Though it doesn't look the best, I don't actually mind it. Like, it doesn't look bad to me. And it's just somewhere to shove those jumper pieces. But then on the back, on top of having the rotors, I did want this to have some engines. So it very visibly has some forward propulsion. So I feel like I accomplished that pretty well. Using the extra orange tile brick or orange tile studs from the set, I was able to make some small little engines and some small little vents that go in just perfectly with the doors right there. Got them on both sides. It looks pretty good and it doesn't hinder from the look. If anything, it honestly adds to the Helicarrier in my opinion. Before it was just a very flat back and I wasn't a huge fan, so this breaks it up a little bit and adds two things jutting out there. So in order to get to the interior of this rear command center, I just grab it by the cheese slope pieces here on the windshield piece, pull this up, and then I just have to take out one 1x6 brick, fold down my door, and I have full access to my interior in the rear there. Like I said before, one pilot seat elevated above 2 passengers sitting there. Originally, I did have these 2 seats facing their control panels on the side walls there, but then I kind of decided on the look facing backwards so they could deploy right out of the vehicle as it lands. So here is our entire rear command center. As pointed out earlier, they do have 2 small control panels sitting on either side. I believe these are stickers that came on the Quinjet piece. And then I added small lights in here to simulate more of a dashboard, control panels, you know, flashing buttons, all the doodads that you'd see in some control area. And then Black Widow was sitting in sort of a co-pilot / I like to think of it as a gunner seat that controls these 2 side cannons here. So she does have another thing. This obviously came from the Quinjet. You can even see it on there. But the 2 dashboards on the side do actually have a small amount of posability. They do fold in there. So they are at a small bit of an angle, so it's not just perfectly flat. And it simulates more of a well-rounded seated area. And then I have some gray slopes coming down on the side to seem like some armrests. And then the girl pieces down there are just extra greebling for the interior. Now, I really like how I built this up. I used these slope pieces that originally came with the set. I did want to use those just so I didn't have those sitting around in a big extra pieces bag. I did end up using both of those, and I was able to keep this structurally sound. Like these walls here, I can pinch down on them, and they are true walls. They are not just barely held together by some bricks and plates. It is like a true interior built up. And before we finish this mod overview, I'll just give you a quick look at what it looks like when all the minifigures are in their stations where they should be. Up the cockpit, like we saw earlier, you can see War Machine Rhodey sitting there. You can't quite see the figures behind him, but there is that window on the side to see both the back of Iron Man and Nick Fury in his seat. And then on the rear, you can very clearly see Natasha through that like runway / deck space area. And then the only way to really see Thor and Captain Marvel is to open up your rear interior, and they're sitting there ready to come right on out. So overall, I would like to say this is one of my favorite mods that I've done. When I got the set, like I said, I built it up once and I kept it stock for about 2.5 minutes before I was unhappy with it and I knew I wanted to change something. So this, after some time, most of this was completed probably within about a week after getting this set, and then slowly over time I've added extra bits and pieces here or there where I saw imperfections that I didn't see earlier. But now I'd safely say that this is finished. I accomplished the goal of adding the broadside capability, adding more interior space and a few more forward-facing cannons, so this Helicarrier isn't just a carrier, it's actually a battleship, you could kind of say. So I wanted to turn it into that and for it to still be like a headquarters of the Avengers. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you would like to make something like this, if you have this set and the Avengers Endgame Helicarrier, you have the capability to make something like this, probably even better. We've all got a different mind, so I'd love for you guys to give a whack at it. This set has great modding capability. Like we can all agree, by default, the set isn't that great. So if you want to give it a mod with your Avengers Endgame Quinjet, go right ahead. You could turn it into something great. Anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. And if you guys want to see more things that are out of the Star Wars line, because I do occasionally branch out of Star Wars for ship sets like this. I also have another Marvel video coming down the pipeline. So if you do want to see more, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's been it, guys. Peace, fellas.